Hey, how's it going, everybody? What's up? Welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to go over some of my favorite weapons to run on some of my favorite maps and some suggestions for other maps that don't really play as much, but, you know, weapons I've used before and had pretty good success with them. So in this video, I'm going to show my favorites, not necessarily, you know, the absolute best. You know, I'm not going to just be like, oh, run this meta M4, this meta blah, 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 or whatever. Like, run whatever you want. If you're having fun with a certain gun in Tarkov, just because I say this gun is good for this map doesn't mean that your weapons are also not good for it. So just take what I say with a grain of salt, and I'm just going to show you some of my favorites that's been requested. So first map we're going to get started with is going to be Factory. So I'm going to show you guys two guns that I like to use on Factory, and let me know what you guys think. So the first gun that I'm going to show you guys is the brand new SMG, the Veresk, otherwise known as the SR2M. This thing is an absolute animal in CQB. The reason why I've been using this over the MP7 is because I've been using the MP7 for years, and this thing is new. I have run a bunch of Factory with this gun in particular, and it slaps. Now, to be fair, at this point in the wipe, you are really only going to be running into PMCs that are maybe naked, trying to do, you know, stirrup and like deliveries from the past and trying to fix their control boards and stuff. But even if you do run into a Chad, this thing is an absolute animal, especially if you happen to get your hands on some of the better ammo for it, being the PS-GZH or even the BT ammo for it. But even in the early game, if you happen to get your hands on one of these, you can also run the PE-GZH or the PGZH. I think the P is better and the PE has more flesh damage, I think. But the only problem with this gun in particular is that the magazines are only available once you hit level, I believe, 3 per pour. So the 30-round mags are kind of essential for this. You can run it with the 20-round mags. I have run it with the 20-round mags, but the 30-round mags ideally are what you want. Also, I did mention it, but the MP7 is also a really good gun for Factory. And my second choice for Factory is this bad boy right here, the Saiga 12. And if you want to have a lot of fun, you can put the power mags in it. You can run like a TV10 rig with it, or you can just run the 10-round mags. Generally, they'll get the job done pretty good, but you can go absolutely nuts modding this thing. You can build this thing out to a ridiculous degree. You can do all of this crazy, stupid with it. One thing that I will recommend, though, if you are going to run this, I know everybody likes to run suppressed guns in Tarkov, but if you put the Monster Claw on it, this thing is an absolute demon. It has very little recoil. You fill it with flechettes, you fill it with Magnum buckshot, or even if you get your hands on some AP20 rounds, this gun will not only demolish bosses if you run into Tagilla, it'll demolish cultists if you happen to be cultist hunting on Factory, and it will absolutely smash the face off any PMC that you run into, regardless of whatever kind of ammo, armor, whatever they're running, because you will flinch them so hard when you just do. Like, the trick with this gun is you don't want to go bang, bang. You want to mash your left click. You want to mash it until the PMC you're shooting at is literally paste on the wall. That is how this gun works. You mash left click until your mag is dry, you reload, and he should be dead. So give it a try if you haven't already. So what I'm going to show you guys now is going to be one of the main guns that I run for any mid to long range maps. I would argue that Customs is mostly a mid range map. There is some long range spots on it, but I'm really mostly talking about Shoreline. So this AKM is, in my opinion, one of the most versatile guns in the game. Not only is it great for CQB, the point firing is really good on it, PS ammo is still dominant in the meta, but you can also do stuff like this, and you can put a Spectre on it, you can put, you know, your Elcan, you can put your Valde on it. Ideally, if you want to run the absolute best of the best config for this gun, you want to run it like this with, you know, the Razor on it, like, because then you can use the 1X for just like looking down hallways in the resort. Then you can use the 6X for looking across the long corridor like Glass Bridge. You can also use it for sniping off the roof. You can use it for shooting players in long distance when they're far away from you when you spawn all the way out by road to Customs. This gun is easily one of the most versatile guns in Tarkov. Excels in CQB, excels in mid-range, excels in long range. If you happen to get BP rounds in this thing as well, you will have absolutely no issues just destroying everybody and anybody, let alone if you end up getting MAIAPs for this thing, because it absolutely slaps. Now, I'm going to show you guys another variant on this gun that It's been a gun that I haven't really used very much, but it's a gun that I want to use this wipe because I've seen other people do really awesome stuff with it. So I'm going to pull that gun up right now. And that gun that I'm talking about being the RD704. Now, this is a gun that I've kind of been sleeping on. I haven't really used it very much. I used it last wipe, didn't really have a great time with it. However, I've been seeing a lot of stuff on Twitter recently about people who are pretty much exclusively running this thing as soon as they unlocked it. It seems to be in a really, really great place. Now, the super nice thing about the RD704 is it's a much smaller gun. So you can also do things like this. You can put the BMD on there. You can put your Landtac Dragon on it with the other BMD attachment. And you won't be completely blinded by the muzzle flash on it, unlike you would with like an M4 or something. But the way I like to run this thing is I'll grab the QDC, of course, and slap the PRS QDC suppressor on it. And then you can put whatever flashlight laser combo you want on there. I like running the PRS Gen 3 with the RK2 to get as little recoil as possible on this thing. In my opinion, this gun is probably best off used with something like a UH1 or like an not an Elcan, but like an EOTech or any kind of 1X, you know, like a Delta Point or an RMR or whatever you happen to like for your 1X optics. You can put a scope on it. Obviously, you know, it's 7.62, like it is going to demolish at long range. But this for me is like the kind of excels at CQB mid-range kind of variant of like the 7.62 rifles in Tarkov. So this thing right here, if you've never tried it or you happen to have one sitting in your stash, I would highly recommend you pull out this thing and give it a try. You don't have to go balls to the walls modding it. I would just recommend, like, if you don't have access to the QDC, just maybe put like a Wave QD on there, or even just put like a really nice muzzle brake on it, something cheap. And then it doesn't have to be the RK2, just whatever one of these foregrips that you have that will give you the most recoil reduction. And then obviously put whatever flashlight laser combo you want on there. Same thing with the stock. You can probably run it with the stock, and it would be absolutely fine. So those are two weapon choices for Shoreline. I'm going to show you guys one more gun that a lot of people seem to be sleeping on. Now, it is on the expensive side, but I've been using it a lot this wipe, and it has been absolutely kick-ass for me. So here we have the Springfield Armory M1A. Now, I know a lot of people know about this gun. This gun was the meta for a very long time in Tarkov. However, a lot of people are not running it in this configuration anymore. And yes, I know it's kind of expensive to run, but it is worth the cost you put into it. This gun is an absolute demon. You can put a 50 rounder in it. You can get the recoil down to absolutely nothing. It's got a 22-inch barrel. This thing is enormous. It excels at long-range sniping. If you are going to run this, I would recommend suppressing it, especially if you're going to take, you know, long-distance shots and you're going to try and maybe do like Shooter Born in Heaven or something with this thing. I have used this to kill scab bosses. I have used this to kill players. And where I will normally take this gun is to Lighthouse. This gun absolutely excels at killing rogues. It excels at killing players. If you happen to run into the goons, you can kill them no problem. M80s are still a super, super strong round, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with running M80s. They are super, super strong. People seem to think that for whatever reason, they're just not really that good anymore, and you have to run M62s, you have to run M61s, you have to run M993s with these 308 DMRs. Dude, I have never had any issues killing players or scab bosses or anything else with M80s. They absolutely do the job. You do not have to worry about getting your hands on the really, really expensive rounds. So this for me is probably my favorite DMR in Tarkov right now. I do like the SR25 as well. However, I do love being able to run the 50 round mags in the M1A. It just makes it so much more fun knowing that you can just continue blasting. Just to give you guys an example, this M1A is going to be a perfect gun for woods, for interchange, for customs, for reserve, lighthouse, and shoreline. This gun is so versatile. You can use it anywhere. You can take it to streets. You could even take it to labs if you want to. But I would generally recommend something that you have like full auto capabilities on labs, depending on how you like to play the map and depending on how people are pushing you. It is a really awesome gun. And if you haven't tried it in the configuration that I just showed, I would definitely recommend giving it a go. And now I'm going to show you guys another really, really versatile gun that is also not really that expensive to mod. I'm going to show you guys the configuration that I run my RPK in. I get questions about this a lot when I run it on stream. Again, it's going to follow the same formula as everything else, except on this, I never suppress my RPK. I always run it with the PWS CQB comp on it, and then with a flashlight, whatever optic of your choice. This RPK, early game, mid game, late game, the RPK is always going to be, in my opinion, one of the best and most versatile guns in Tarkov for the price. You can build this thing out super, super cheap, and it kicks ass. You can do all of the content in the entire game with this. The only thing that's going to limit the performance of this gun is the ammo. You can get BP super easy. You do scav runs on reserve, you do scav runs on woods, even on your PMC runs. Just be looking out for the ammo boxes. You can find boxes of BT, BP. If you're really lucky, you'll find some BS as well. But if you run this thing with BS rounds, it is a demon. One thing that I will say about the 545 platform as a whole in Tarkov, Eaglenik sucks. That ammo, I don't know what happened to that ammo. I used to run it all the time. It used to be super consistent, super great for just tapping players and killing everything in the game. No problem. And then something happened to where it feels like I'm using PRS. It is terrible. It's a really terrible, inconsistent round. And I just think if you're going to be running an RPK or any 545 gun and you have Eaglenik, I swear to God, you're better off using BT. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just me. I've seen a lot of other people say that they also find Eaglenik as like a really weirdly performing, inconsistent round. I have a theory that it's maybe bugged. I don't know, because I've used it so many times and it's always seemed to let me down. So similar to M995 a couple of patches ago, when I swore it was bugged, everybody agreed with me, but BSG said nothing. M995 was definitely bugged out of its mind. If you're going to be running this, BP, BT, BS. I mean, you can also run PP as well, you know, if you want. It's not the worst. You can also put PS in it if you like, but just don't expect to be dropping people as fast. But for the price of this gun, it is absolutely 10 out of 10. One of my biggest recommendations for everybody to use in Tarkov. And here we have another sleeper pick, another gun that is also fantastic for not only customs, but shoreline, for factory. You can pretty much use this gun on any map. And once again, very similar to the RPK. The only thing that is going to limit you is the ammo. The AK-101 is, for those of you that don't know, AK that shoots 545 or that shoots 556 rounds. You might be wondering, why would you ever want to use this over, let's say, I don't know, an M4 or like a HK416 or something like that? The answer is pretty simple. Whatever it is about the AK-101 and the way that the fire rate is on it, it feels really, really good to use. It's not like you hold down the trigger for half a second and then all of a sudden, boom, your 60 round mag has been completely dumped. I think that the AK-101 is probably one of the best performing 556 guns in Tarkov. And I just don't think that many people have like realized it yet. One of its major drawbacks is that it does only have 30 round mags. However, you can get the recoil down as low as an M4. And I promise you guys, this thing is just a laser beam. It doesn't move whatsoever. As I said, the only drawback is that you can only have 30 round mags in it. If you have never used this gun in Tarkov before, I can't recommend it more. This thing is a demon. And again, it'll clear all of the content in the game for you. It'll kill players. It'll kill bosses. The only thing that's going to limit you is the ammo that you're running in it. However, you can still, this wipe, run the AK-101 with M855. It's got about 30 pen. That'll kill most people. And then if you happen to get your hands on M855A1, or even M856A1, it'll just make the gun better and better and better. And then when you get your hands on a surplus of M995, you can, of course, feel free to rock it in that. I have used this gun in previous wipes a ton. It's one of those guns that it just never gets used, so it's never been touched by BSG. It's never been nerfed. If you happen to find them in weapon crates, don't just take them out. Don't just sell them. Mod them. Take them out. Be pleasantly surprised by how underrated and really, really solid this gun is. Lads, those have been my picks for some of my favorite guns for, you know, X map in Tarkov. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I know a lot of people have been asking me what are my go-to guns, so hopefully I can kind of point them towards this video and you guys will be able to see the builds for certain guns that I have been using, along with what ammo types I've been using and why. So, lads, hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. And I will see you guys on the next video. Peace out, my dudes.